TV.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Today we have a really interesting topic. It looks like Rhode Island wants to give reparations to white people. I don't understand this. I talked to Dr. Claude Anderson about this last night, and he said, in his words, he was pissed off to the height of pistivity. So we're going to find out why Dr. Claude Anderson is very upset about this and why Rhode Island believes white people also deserve reparations. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to say hi to everybody. As you come in, shout out the city that you're from. Also, smash the thumbs up button, the like button, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Hit the notification bell because, as you guys know, one of our biggest challenges online is that when you get a little bit too black, people want to push you to the back. If you come with too much melanin, the next thing you know, they want to block you. They want to act like you don't deserve to have a right to speak or whatever. And so ultimately, I don't want to get shadow banned. So if you can help us stop this by hitting the notification bell, that would really be beneficial. So I want to say good morning before I begin. Good morning, KT Williams. I see Larry Beckett out of Lexington, Kentucky. Shout out to Lexington. I went to the University of Kentucky years ago. Quentin in Atlanta. I'm speaking in Atlanta at the Sales Accelerator this weekend, actually. The information, I'll try to put it on my Instagram. I got to get the link, but I'm Kimberly Fowler. I think that's her name. She's a coach, and she's hosting an event called the Sales Accelerator, and I'm going to be speaking there this weekend in Atlanta. Derek out of Baltimore, what's going on? Darlene says, I enjoyed the fire of Dr. Anderson last night. Yeah, Dr. Claude Anderson, who's the author of Powernomics, he was very upset about what we're about to talk about today, and I think he has a right to be. And I'm going to explain to you the nuances of it so you can understand what's going on. Fowler, how are you? From Florence, Kentucky. Jay out of Indianapolis. I see Boston. Compton. I always got to do that every time. Duran says, long live Dr. Boyce. We need you forever. Well, I love you too. Thank you so much. And Devontae out of Louisville, my home city. All right, so let's get started. Let's get it cracking. All right, so how many of you heard this story? Did anybody give me a yes in the chat if you heard this story about Rhode Island, Providence in particular, putting out a reparations plan where they said white people can apply too. And I think that it's based on income or something like that. Give me a yes if you heard about this. This is really fascinating. Dr. Anderson was mad. Dr. Claude Anderson, he wrote a book called Powernomics that everybody should read. Stop leaning on the public school systems to educate your kids. You can do it yourself, and I encourage you to do it yourself. But anyway, Dr. Anderson was upset. I wasn't really mad because I kind of know what to expect. I wasn't really as angry as Dr. Anderson because, just the idea that you think a poor white person in America is the same as a black person whose family has gone through, hundreds of years of the most brutal slavery in the history of mankind. That tells me that you're just ignorant. That just tells me that you don't know what you're doing. That tells me that you are literally you're literally a short order cook trying to do heart surgery. You're literally a guy who worked at Burger King and chopped a couple of hamburgers up or something, and you think that qualifies you to be a cardiologist. And so what's really going on is that this incident actually is an opportunity to really express and to address just how fundamentally and horrifically unqualified many of our political leaders are when it comes to addressing a topic as important as reparations. They just are, and it's not their fault. It's because as Cody Ransom, who came in the other day and he was giving the history of Black Wall Street, talking about what happened in Tulsa. A lot of people are just hit. They're kept in the dark on these things. There are people. Did you know that there are people who live on Black Wall Street, who live in Greenwood, who do not even know that the massacre happened? Did y'all know that? How many of y'all knew that? That they're literally, this blew my mind. And by the way, Cody's doing a whole, because we believe in the Black Business School that Black people should be educating our own. No disrespect to anybody else, but I want Black children educated by Black teachers. I want Black people educated by our Black experts. We're actually doing a Black Wall Street masterclass that's going to be 4 weeks of deep, intense Black Wall Street training. You can bring your whole family. We hope you'll bring your whole family. It starts on December 6th. And you can actually take a look. If you go to boycewatkins.com, the link is right there, right on my website. Or if you're on Instagram, the link's in the bio. But Cody mentioned that a lot of Black people in Tulsa, in Greenwood, don't even know about the massacre that happened on their very soil. Well, how does that happen? Well, it happens for the same reason that slavery happened. It happens for the same reason that that trillions of dollars was allowed to be taken out of your Black community. It happened for the same reason that everything else terrible happened in this country is that there are people who deliberately work to control the information or to distribute intentional misinformation to get you distracted or to get you sort of focused on something else. A lot of you don't even know. I want you to process this. Give me a yes or no. Let's start here. Let me ask you a simple yes or no question. Y'all know how I am. I'm a mathematician, so I like to show you how 2 + 2 does equal 4. Even if somebody's telling you that 2 + 2 is 186. How many of you, when you think about what happened to Black people during slavery, you just get mad? How many of you just get mad, horrified, like you hear about, Black mothers having their babies cut out of their stomach? How many of you get disgusted by that? How many of you just wake up sometimes just mad? Or when you hear a story about a Black man who was shot so they could steal his land, how many of you get just it makes you angry? And you have to calm yourself down when you hear these stories? How many of you just really are irate about just all the things that happened to us? How many of you get mad when you think about how terrible slavery was and the things they did, all the rapes and castrations and murders, and then on top of that is the lost money. The money was the least valuable thing that we lost, and we lost about $14 trillion of that, right? We lost about $14 trillion of that, and the money was the least valuable thing that we lost. Okay, so I asked y'all that question for a reason. How about this? Here's what I want you to understand. You don't know a damn thing about what happened to your ancestors. You only know the tip of the damn iceberg. Do you really think that this country that allowed these things to happen to your people, do you really think that this country went out of its way to make sure that your Black child that goes to a white-owned public school system is going to learn all the details and all the dirt and where all the bodies are buried and where all the money was lost and where all the tragedies happened? Do you really think, pay attention now, do you really think that they just sat down and said, think about this. This is a country that refuses to even acknowledge whether you deserve reparations. Do you think they sat down and had committees and said, how do we make absolutely sure that Black people are fully aware of every single thing that ever happened? And that we need to make, they didn't find out that Black babies were fed as alligator bait. We need to make sure that's included in the curriculum. How many of y'all really think they really told you everything? And I need y'all to understand just what a dramatically problematic position you're in when it comes to the flow of information. Seriously, I need you to understand that. Most of us from the time we're born were sent to get our education at a public school. You didn't go to no Afrocentric school where you learn from people like Cody Ransom or Dr. Claude Anderson or a Louis Farrakhan type that was really going to tell you everything about everything. You didn't go to a school like that. How many of y'all went to a damn public school like me, had some white lady teaching you every day who didn't even like you, didn't even understand you? I was in detention every single week. So school was like prison for me. I hated it. Right. And learning a bunch of stuff about how wonderful Europeans were. And George Washington was really a good guy who was just misunderstood and all these other things. Most of us went to these public schools. So what I really need you to pay attention to is not, I don't want you to look, there's 3 levels to knowledge. There's the known, the things that you know, that's a tiny piece of your knowledge. Then there's the unknown that you know about, right? That you know that you don't know a few things. That's massive. That's big. That's the big part, because you don't know a lot more than you actually know. And then there's the unknown. That's the most gigantic part of the whole process. That's where you're not even looking for a smoking gun because you didn't even know that there was a murder that even happened in that location. You're not even looking for evidence because you don't even know that a crime took place. So what I'm saying to you, and I'm screaming through the voice of my ancestors right now, and I'm telling you to accept the idea that you probably don't even know about 99.9% of the most horrible things that happened to your people during slavery, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, and all the other things this country has put you through. You don't know. You'll never know those stories. They're buried. They're dead. Nobody wrote them down. So that's how I see all of this, right? And this is what really makes me a little bit cynical about whether or not this country or any city in this country or any politician, including Hakeem Jeffries, who I'm actually going to talk about Hakeem in a minute. I'm not going to talk about him in a negative way. I'm going to talk about him in an honest way. None of these people are really going to get you what you need. None of these people are really going to be in a position to do the kind of work necessary to get what you actually deserve. So we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share. Make sure you hit the notification bell, subscribe and all that good stuff. And I got to mention real quickly, if you allow me to, a Black-owned business that sponsored this podcast. There's his website, and there is a brother. His name is Fahim Abdul Razak, and he is an artist. And he actually created a conscious hip-hop album called Platinum Shackles. And it's sold directly at the URL that's on the screen. And he says the songs address many of the issues that appear on the platform. And also the album addresses how hip hop was weaponized to destroy our people through death culture. So I want to give a shout out to this brother for being a sponsor on the podcast and sponsoring the shout out. If you have a Black-owned business and you'd like for me to shout you out, just go to drboycefinance.com. That's drboycefinance.com. You support us, I'll support you. And I hope everybody will go to this website on the screen. I know it's kind of a long URL. But I hope you'll go look up this Platinum Shackles album because this brother sounds like he's really trying to do good work, and we got to support the artists we love as opposed to just complaining about the ones that we don't love. Okay, all right. So anyway, let me dive into this a little bit more. So yesterday, Dr. Claude Anderson came into the platform and he was talking about this whole situation with Rhode Island and this whole scenario of what's going on with this reparations plan. I'm going to read a little bit of it to you. Revolt wrote an article about it. And they are, let's see here. They said that the reparations program in Rhode Island will allow its white citizens to apply for access to the funds. Mayor Jorge Elorza approved a $10 million budget for the Providence Municipal Reparations Program in November. So he approved a $10 million budget. Okay, let's just say this, even for Providence, even for one city, how many of you think $10 million is an impressive amount of money for 400 years of, rapes, castrations, mutilations, property being stolen, wealth being stolen? I mean, how many of you have an issue just right there? I'm going to stop right there. How many of you feel like 10 million is almost like a joke compared to what is actually owed? I mean, I'm not saying that this brother or this man, this person, I don't know who this person is. I'm not saying he's not trying to do the right thing, but I explained to you earlier that they're not capable of truly doing the right thing because many of them are just simply unqualified to do that. Think about it. They don't even talk. Many of these people don't even talk to the world's leading reparations experts. They won't sit down and have a conversation with Dr. Claude Anderson. He wrote a whole book. He wrote a whole book called Black Labor, White Wealth that documents in extreme detail exactly what was taken from us. He documents all this. He documents how much a slave costs in 1792 versus how much a slave costs in 1825. And he documents how you could use a slave for a mortgage with a bank. He explains exactly how Black labor created the foundation of wealth in America because they needed people to clear the land and all this other. Like, he documents all this. All this is there, and these people don't talk to people like Dr. Anderson. Well, why? Well, because people like Dr. Anderson are seen as being too radical. Well, why is that? Is it because Dr. Anderson's a criminal? No. Is it because he's some thug or gangster that's going to run up and shoot up your family like some of the rappers say that they'll do? No. Is it because he runs around saying, I just want to beat everybody's butt and I want to hurt people or hurt children? No. It's because Dr. Anderson commits one of the greatest crimes that has ever existed in America. He's an intelligent, conscious Black man. That's the crime. That's why Howard University has been down the street from Dr. Claude Anderson for 40 years, I think, and they've never invited him in to speak because they are afraid. This speaks to, again, my fundamental point that these individuals that are talking, that are even trying to use the word reparations, are not qualified to use that word. They're not courageous enough to use the word. If they use the word, you should be very skeptical. If they offer a reparations plan, you should probably reject it, because really what they're going to ultimately try to do is lowball you with something that is only slightly better than symbolism. $10 million is a little bit better than nothing, right? It's not a terrible number, all right? It's not zero, right? But at the same time, it's slightly above symbolism, and that's the issue. The people that are in power, including people like Hakeem Jeffries, who just took over as the head of the Democratic Party or something. I don't the whip, or I don't know. I don't follow these people, honestly. But him, a lot of people are talking about him and being a black man, and I'm very proud of him, by the way. I think he's very smart. I read his whole bio. He's from New York, or from, I forgot, I want to say it was Crown Heights, but maybe I got that wrong. And I read about him going to college at Binghamton, and he was a great student, and he's about my age, and he went to law school. I'm super proud of him. Like, he deserves everything he's getting, but this ain't it, y'all. I'm telling you, this just isn't it. Because the problem for a guy like Hakeem Jeffries is, no matter what lies in his heart, he's always got to do what his boss tells him to do. And the problem that he has is that his boss don't give a damn about black people. He got ahead by being a very good lawyer. Lawyers are also called advocates. They have what is called a fiduciary responsibility to represent the interests of the client. Well, who is the client? The client is not the black community. The client is the people who are paying the bills. So Hakeem Jeffries is going to have to go out and pass legislation that advocates for the client. The client is the Democratic Party and all their, billion-dollar donors. A lot of his money comes from Wall Street. He's going to do a very good job advocating for their interests. The ability to advocate for the interests of black people requires a level of independent wealth and power that he does not possess. Asking him, somebody like him, even putting that pressure on someone like him, or even a Barack Obama, to do something that's significantly going to elevate the condition of the black community is like going to your cousin who works at Burger King and saying, I want you to spend the time on your shift cooking food for the whole family. Do Burger King employees spend 7 hours on the job making burgers for mama and their cousins and their little sister? Give me a yes or no. Is that what they're going to do when they go to work? Are they? No, the answer is absolutely not. They're going to spend that time making burgers for the client. The client is the customers. The client is, and they're going to be working for the boss and serving the client. They're not there to serve you. They're not there to get, they might sneak you a little, they might be like, hey, I'm gonna get you some order of fries. My boss is going to let me take home a couple of Whoppers today. I'll bring you a Whopper, dog. I'm gonna bring you a Whopper, right? So they're gonna try to look out for you. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying your cousin wouldn't try to look out for you. You know what I'm talking about. He might even steal for you, right? If he's really bad about it, right? He might really like sneak a extra burger in the bag to make sure you're good, but he can't feed the whole family. He's not in a position to do that. He's not the one that has the resources to even pull that off, because Burger King is not his restaurant. He is an employee. He works for the boss. He's serving the client. You ain't the client and you ain't the boss, and neither is he. He's just a Negro in a uniform. So a lot of y'all are looking at Negroes in uniforms and somehow mistaking these individuals for authentic black leaders. They can't be black leaders. They're not qualified, and they don't have the power to do that. They don't have the resources to do that. Nobody ever prepared them or trained them on the significance and the importance of having independent black wealth and power as a fundamental attribute necessary to really lead and advocate for the black community. In order to be a leader for the black community, you must be in a position where black people can be the boss and the client. That is, you have to be in that position. Hakeem Jeffries is not that guy. He's an employee of the Democratic Party who just got a raise and a promotion, and I'm really happy for him. Seriously, I'm happy when my cousin gets promoted to like assistant manager at Papa John's or something. Like, I think that's really cool. Good for you, bro. Man, you're doing better. Like, since you got out of jail, you You're really working hard every day. I think that's great. But that don't make him Mansa Musa. That don't make him Malcolm X. So I think that when you're having a conversation about reparations, we have to educate ourselves on what that conversation is even supposed to look like. We have to really talk to ourselves and say, what does Black power actually look like? What does a Black leader actually look like? What does a real reparations package actually look like? What should we actually say when we demand our reparations? But before I get to that point, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. I want to mention, by the way, I hope you guys will join us on December 4th. My wife, who's a therapist, we have the new Black Financial Therapy Department in the Black Business School. You guys know I'm really proud of the Black Business School because again, we have independent wealth and power. We don't take corporate sponsorship. We don't take money from the government. And we've worked with Black scholars and thinkers who care about the community, like Dr. Claude Anderson and others. And we're really getting it done. And so we've actually educated millions of our people on economics. So one thing that we did was I got together with my wife, and loving a Black woman and having a Black woman by your side is critical to being successful, in my opinion. And so what we decided to do, since she's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work, we've created the world's first Black financial therapy department in the Black Business School. And the reason we created the Black Financial Therapy Department is because we want to investigate all of the psychological barriers that keep us from building Black wealth as individuals and as families and as a community. So that's the goal of the Black Financial Therapy Department. We're going to work with therapists, licensed therapists, and professors and experts and stuff like that. And one of the first things we're going to do is we're doing a Love and Money Masterclass. Because the most important thing you have to do as Black people to start that wealth building process is you've got to rebuild your families. So my wife, who's been seeing couples for many, many years as a relationship therapist, is going to bring her therapy background. Also, she's a certified clinical trauma professional. So she understands trauma, which most of us have experienced trauma that's unaddressed. And I have my PhDs in finance. So we're bringing the best of both worlds together and doing a collaborative album, so to speak, where we're going to do a Love and Money Masterclass. It starts December 4th. If you're interested in joining us in this Love and Money Masterclass, just go to boycewatkins.com. You can see it's not too late to join. And all the materials, all the slides, all the presentations, all the workbooks. And believe me, we got a stack of materials this deep. So we hope that you'll bring your partner, bring your kids. It's all about relationships, not just romantic relationships, but relationships with family, children, parents, cousins, everybody. So if you're interested in joining us on December 4th, just go to boycewatkins.com. The link is right there. And I'm really excited about that. I'm super pumped up, and I love working on things with my wife because I feel like that's my superpower. That's my power base. Working with intelligent Black people. That gives me a lot more ability to get things done than I don't know, being an employee or something. Like no disrespect to that, but that's not been the most power position I've been in. When I was at Syracuse University and I was on the faculty, I didn't feel empowered. But when I'm working with you, I feel more powerful than I've ever felt in my entire life. All right, so let's move on. So we're talking about Rhode Island offering this reparations package that white people can apply for. And it seems to be that their logic is, and I'm going to read some more of this article on Revolt. I got to get back to that. They said in August, the Providence Municipal Reparations Commission elected not to issue direct payments to residents. Of course they didn't. They don't want to give money to people. Instead, agreeing to fund different initiatives promoting equity. See, that word equity is a very dangerous word because when you start using words like equity, it automatically comes with other interesting words like inclusion and all this. Not that those are bad words, but the problem is when you start using equity and inclusion, terms like that, you're watering down the unique experience that Black people went through. I'm going to ask y'all a question. Did America have hundreds of laws designed to enslave gay people? Did America ever make hundreds of laws that said if you're gay, you're going to be a slave, or your children will be slaves? Which I guess I don't know exactly how you'd have children, but no disrespect, I just don't. I took biology 101, but then again, you could maybe people adopt and all that, right? So no hate, no disrespect, but seriously, has there ever been an initiative that said that white women are going to be forced to work on a farm, and be raped every day and lose all their wealth and all their assets? Has there been any laws like that? Did immigrants go through the Middle Passage? Did immigrants go through and have to sort of get cramped on slave ships and actually have to, watch people on the right and their left die next to them and sleep and lay next to their dead bodies for months on a hot slave ship. Did immigrants go through this? Italian immigrants? I mean, I know y'all had a hard time. I know you've gone through stuff, but did you go through that? Did Jewish people go through that? Did anybody else go through that except for us? Except for foundational Black Americans? Did anybody else go through this? Give me a yes or no. Answer me in the chat. Yes or no? Absolutely not. They didn't. So my position on this is, do not use the word reparations and these generic diversity terms in the same paragraph. Don't say reparations and then say equity, or reparations and inclusion, reparations and equality. Right? I hear you. I get it. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to do what many white liberals are led to believe is actually the right thing, and you're trying to sort of use proper language to express your commitment to an equal society and all these other things. The problem is that you're getting into leftism and you're not really getting into really the direct healing necessary to deal with what you've done to every Black man, woman, and child in this country for the last 400 years. Those are very different topics. Those are two different issues. You must separate one from the other. You cannot bundle them up and do like some reparations bundle. This is not a Black Friday sale where you just bundle a bunch of stuff together and say, hey, we're gonna Negroes our wholesale. We're just gonna go ahead and buy wholesale forgiveness. No. This is gonna require a tremendous amount of study and healing and analysis. So he said $1 million is going to go toward home ownership, financial literacy, workforce training, small business grants, and more. Elorza said the program was centered on helping the city's Native and Black American residents. However, white residents will also be allowed to access the funding. The latter group will have to meet specific income criteria. So they're basically saying that if you're poor and you're white, that's the same as being a Black person whose family has dealt with 400 years of the most brutal slavery known to man, which is absolutely surprising. But it's not surprising. It's not surprising when you really look at the first grader conversation that our country has even been able to have about reparations. Our country has never really been able to have a real reparations conversation. Like we'll talk about reparations, but not real reparations. I'm a fan of real reparations, REAL. If you can't keep it real, then I don't want to have that conversation with you. And so here's one of the things I want to suggest to you. When you're talking about reparations as Black people, you got to stop asking for reparations. You got to stop. You got to stop asking for it. You got to stop begging for it. You got to start demanding it. And demanding it requires power. I think asking for reparations or begging for reparations, it turns into symbolism, and you're putting the ball in the court of the oppressor in the sense of just saying to them, hey, we went through this thing, and Black Lives Matter. We need y'all to say that because we really care what white people think, and we really just need y'all to apologize and do something to address what you've done to us for the last 400 years. That's not going to get the job done. In fact, not only are they not qualified to offer adequate reparations, you're probably not qualified to even ask for it or to demand it. You're not qualified to demand it, because think about this. I want to ask y'all a question. So if I'm a gangster, if I'm like a Mexican drug lord or something, and you take my money, and you take $100,000 of my money, and you owe me, like it's clear. I loaned you the money, we made an agreement, and you chose not to pay me back. Am I gonna pick up the phone and say, hey, I loaned you $100,000 for some cocaine, and I just was wondering, like, when can I expect payment? Like, are you gonna, can you pay me? Or like, I like to get my money back because I need it, because what you did, really put me out, and now I can't pay my other dope dealers, and I'm really behind on my bills, and my wife is giving me a hard time, bro. So can you mind sending me a check? Can you pay me back? You think that's gonna work? You think that's going to work, just sort of requesting payment, or pay me whenever you can, or pay me whatever you can? Like, do you think that's what this drug lord's going to do, or a mafia gangster? You think he's going to call and request payment? What do you think? No, he's not going to do that. He's not going to say, pay me when you can, or pay me whatever you can. Or I would really like it if you could pay me because it's really hard, because my life is hard because you didn't. He's not going to do that. He's not going to lean on your sympathy. what's he gonna do? He's gonna show up and he's gonna get in that ass. It's the phone, the phone call, if you are lucky enough to get one, is gonna be like, you owe me, you owe me. If I don't get my money by tomorrow with interest, you're gonna be sleeping with the fishes. And your family might be sleeping with the fishes. And I'm gonna break both of your legs and torture you before I give you the privilege of me letting you die. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not advocating that kind of behavior. I'm not saying that we should act like dope dealers and drug lords, but let me ask y'all this: which is more likely to get his money back? Which is more likely to get his which scenario is more likely to make him whole financially? Asking and begging and trying to get somebody to feel sorry for him, or holding a credible threat over your head that there will be consequences? This is the point. This is what I'm talking about. Consequences. This is my point. Pay attention now. Consequences for his behavior. Which is more likely to get his money back? So here's what I'm saying to you as Black people. You got to understand that people ain't going to give a damn what you think or what you're owed or what you believe or what's right and what's wrong if you have no ability to exert consequences. In the book Powernomics, written by Dr. Claude Anderson, you can go get a copy of powernomics.com if you want to go read it. I think everybody should read it. He explains and he defines power. In the very first couple paragraphs, he basically says power is the ability to pursue your agenda despite the opposition of others. Why does he start that book by defining to you what power is? Because as Black people in America, you're not used to having power. Some of you don't even know what power looks like. Some of us mistake borrowed power for authentic intrinsic power. Some of us really believe that because I'm a Black face in a high place, I'm a Hakeem Jeffries, or I'm a Burger King manager, that's the same as being the owner of a damn Burger King. If you're the Burger King manager, you're not the owner of that restaurant. You are a tool and a vessel through which the owner is able to achieve his goals. You're a pawn on the chessboard. You don't own the chessboard. You're not the player in the game. You're a piece of the game. It's okay. You're a player in the game. You're not a player. You're a chess piece. You're not a player. You're not even in the conversation of power. You're not in any position at all to do much of anything to secure your own destiny. You can't, because you don't have power. You don't have that ability, like that Mexican drug lord, to pick up the phone and say, bitch better have my money. You can't say that. You can't say, hey, if you don't, look, you owe me. I know you owe me. And if you don't pay me by tomorrow at 1:00, there will be consequences. You're going to pay in other ways. Either way, you're going to pay, because I've got the power and the ability to pursue my agenda despite the fact that you might not like what I'm doing. So what I really need you to understand, Black people, is that when you're talking about getting things done, you've got to understand what power is, how to obtain it, and then how to assess whether or not you've got the power to pursue the agenda that matters to you. I'm done asking for reparations. I don't want to hear no conversations about, oh, we need to study. We got to, y'all seen that, right? The politicians are like, we got to study reparations. What you got to study? Did you have to study before you decided to send billions of dollars over to Ukraine to support some war that I don't give a shit about? Give me a yes or no. Did they study? Did they announce that they had to spend 5 years doing a study before they sent billions of dollars to Ukraine? Give me a yes or no. Anybody hear about a study? We got to go study. We got to go do homework. We got to study like we did in high school. Did they study? Okay, here's the pandemic. When the pandemic began, and they were going to send $1 trillion out into the economy, which, by the way, many economists like myself were saying that's crazy. You're going to have an inflation problem in a couple of years. Did they say, well, no, we don't want to be too quick on it. We got to study whether or not this massive amount of pouring money, that printing $1 trillion and putting the government in more debt than it's ever been, that we got to just figure out if that's going to cause an inflation problem. So we'll spend a year studying before we make our move. Did they do that? Did they do that? I'm asking, give me a yes or no. Did they spend any time studying before they sent that money out into the economy? When they were trying to tell everybody to go get those jabs, those jabs that made $100 billion for pharmaceutical companies. And by the way, I'm a shareholder in Moderna and all the Pfizer, all those companies. I own stock in all those companies. I watch my stock just do this, right? So did they, when they wanted to make everybody get the jab and told you that if you don't get this jab, you shouldn't hang with your cousins. You can't go to the family reunions. You're gonna lose your job. When people were getting fired for not getting those jabs, did they hit the brakes and say, whoa, wait a minute, this is drastic. We gotta study. There were medical doctors actually, like my sister, who's a medical doctor. My sister was saying, I used to do clinical trials. You have to study these things for many years to see what the long-term side effects are. This is what my sister said. And this is why my sister said, I don't trust none of this stuff. And she's a smart medical doctor. Did they spend any time studying before they forced everybody to get that shot? What do you think? Did they study to do it then? So maybe all this talk about study is a BS delay tactic to keep you at bay. Maybe that's why they're talking about, we got to study. We got to study we got to study and figure out if black people actually were slaves. Y'all sound worse than them damn Holocaust deniers. Like, seriously, what you got to study about slavery to know if it happened and if the debt is in the trillions? Where are you convening a committee of experts who've been studying this for decades and bringing together the data so you can make a quick decision to do right by your most loyal political constituents? So I'm just saying to you, not only are they unqualified to implement an adequate reparations plan, you're not even qualified to demand it. You're not qualified to demand it because you're using the wrong language. You up here asking people for stuff when you know that they owe you. You're up here saying, well, sir, just we'll take what we can when it's convenient. If just tell us Black Lives Matter, gives us some symbolism, sir. We'll just, and you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna say, dang, these Negroes are nagging us, and they got people out here telling them not to vote in the next election. So let's just give them something. Let's give them something. So we're gonna build a basketball court in every black neighborhood, and we're gonna all get on our knee and honor the red, black, and green flag, and we're gonna send everybody a box of chitlins for Christmas, and then we'll write a little check for about $20 a person, so they can all go buy some malt liquor at the local liquor store. So then they'll come and vote, and then we can say we paid them reparations. Then we can say, okay, we good, the debt's paid. Because think about this: if you show up and you are begging instead of demanding, all that's going to happen, at best, you're going to just get lowballed out of your birthright. They're going to lowball you out of what you're actually owed. Let me make it 100% abundantly clear right now on this conversation. They owe you no less than $14 trillion in reparations. No less than $14 trillion. So when they come along with these little programs, like, well, we're going to write a check for $8.45. You need to check that. You need to say, no. You're about 14 trillion short on what you actually owe us. And we're not going to walk away from the negotiating table until you give us what you owe. And I'm going to tell y'all this. I'm not telling anybody in this room what to do. I promise you I'm not telling you what to do. But when I spoke at that reparations rally with Tariq Nasheed and his people, and we were all there in D.C., thousands of you showed up, I made it real clear. No reparations, no vote. No reparations, no vote. If you come and show up to me, you call me on the phone and you're like, hey, Dr. Watkins, we'd like to get your support because we got this initiative. We're going to help little, black children get new sneakers for the start of school. I'm going to say no. No, Hakeem Jeffries. I need you to take care of black people like we're the client, like we're the boss. I need to get the same treatment that you gave the Wall Street banks, that gave you all that money. I understand Wall Street. I ain't got nothing against Wall Street. I'm a finance professor. I have many students that went to Wall Street and made money. I ain't mad at none of them. I've encouraged millions of black people to go buy shares of stock and to participate in this economy. And I know how much money they got on Wall Street, and I know what you're doing for them. I need you to treat us the same way you treat your boss, because the black community is my boss, and the black community is also my client, and I'm going to represent my client. That's what a B1 philosophy is. Now, I get it, though. I understand. A guy like a Hakeem Jeffries isn't in a position to do that. He can't. I think about this. You're not going to go accept a position as the whip or whatever he is in the Democrat. Maybe whip is wrong. Forgive me if I got it wrong. Is he minority leader? I think that's what he is. You can't accept that role without accepting what comes with that role. And I understand what it is. I understand how the money flows in politics. I understand maybe one day this brother wants to be president. I hope he gets a chance to be president. In my mind, I'll feel as good as I feel when I hear about a relative who got a job as a manager at Exxon, or gets a chance to be vice president at a Walmart or something, or at a Bank of America. Like, I think that's cool, but that's not the same as them telling me that they own Bank of America. That's not the same as them telling me that they even own a small bank. There are differences there, right? So I think that in order for us to really assert our power, we've got to know what power looks like, and we got to know where the power really is. So that's one of the reasons why I'll sit with a guy like a Louis Farrakhan and have a great conversation with him that will be very different from a conversation I might have with someone who I know is basically an employee of the Democrat or the Republican parties. I understand the difference, and I encourage you to make sure you know the difference too. Because when you're talking about what it's going to take to make progress in our communities, you must, if you are black and intelligent, which everybody is, you must take a moment and say, why haven't we been making progress? Why have we been doing all this voting and it ain't really giving us nothing? Why are we doing all this marching? It ain't giving us much of nothing. Why are we doing all this praying at church? It ain't giving us much of nothing. Why are we working harder than anybody else in this country? Climbing the corporate ladder, going to college, doing all these things that we're led to believe we're going to be all these symbols of black progress, and it ain't really giving us nothing. That requires you to reverse engineer everything that you were taught to believe about what it means to be a successful and empowered black person. You got to deconstruct that damn thing, or you're going to keep on going in the wrong direction. So I'm not really, when I look at this whole situation in Rhode Island, and I'm going to tell you, Evanston, Illinois, shout out to Evanston, Illinois for trying to do reparations. Evanston, Illinois is one of the other cities that has a reparations program. Let me tell you what they did. I kid you not. I wrote this down because I couldn't believe it was funny. The first step of their reparations program was to give $25,000 worth of home repairs to 16 residents in the city. 16 people got $25,000 in home repairs. And that was the first step of their reparations program. I kid you not. Just stop using that word until you even understand what it really means. It's almost embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for you because I feel like they're trying to do the right thing. I really do. I think that they're really sort of trying their best to sort of, they're trying their best to it's not really their best, but they think it's their best, right? And that ain't it. You're not talking to the right people, and it's embarrassing to everybody. So that's it. That's my 2 cents on the topic. If you want to watch the conversation I had with Dr. Claude Anderson, just go to drboycetv.com. He was on here yesterday. He had a lot to say about it, and I encourage you to read his books or even buy his books for Christmas and give them away. We got to educate our own. We cannot keep relying on failed public school systems to educate our kids. We have plenty of scholars and teachers and professionals and intelligent black people. You're a parent. You can go on the internet, just like everybody else, find the right knowledge and disseminate that to your children. So I'm mandating you. I want you to give me a yes in the chat if you can commit to this for me right now. It won't take, you ain't got to pay money. You just got to pay attention. I need you to give me a yes if you are going to be conscious about taking over the educational process within your household, within your life, and within your family. I need you to give me a yes in the chat if you're going to intentionally, with intentionality, be the primary source of education for the people that are within your sphere of influence. Now, I'm blessed. Y'all blessed me. I'm blessed by having the chance to influence a lot of people, and I do not take that lightly. I sit there and I meditate on the best ways to take advantage of this opportunity God gave me to make your life better. When I meet you all in person, I met a brother in the lobby who recognized me, and I'd like to hear how the words I've said have changed your life in a positive way. So one of the commitments I've made to myself is that within my sphere of influence, I'm going to be one of the primary sources of education for that sphere so that we can really understand how this world actually works. We can really understand what the next move is. Our next move can be our best move, and it can also be a power move. And I need you to also understand that everybody ain't going to like it. And it's okay. They're not supposed to like it. Nobody likes it when you say, hey, I'm done serving you and I'm going to start serving me. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes it when you say, hey, I can't keep working for you. I got to go start my own business. What boss is going to be really happy about that? Do you think when Ray Charles told the record label, hey, I want to own my own masters, they were like, oh, that's great. That's wonderful. We're so happy for you, Ray. No, they're not going to be happy. At best, you might get, I don't like it, but I understand. That's what I'd be doing if I was the best singer, one of the best singers in the world. I'd be trying to own my own masters too, but I didn't tell you that because I was hoping you'd let me own your masters, right? So people aren't going to be happy when you show up and you really understand what a power move actually looks like. But here's the thing. You got to stop looking for these people to love you. Stop looking for love in all the wrong places. You look for love in all the wrong places. That's not love. That's toxicity. That's going to turn into a pimp hooker relationship. That ain't real love. That's fake love, right? You love yourself. What you'll get instead of love is you're going to get something 10 times better than love. You're going to get respect. You're going to get respect. That's why, the hardest, most gangster KKK members were able to sit down with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and say, I don't like this nigger, but I respects him. He takes care of his own people. He's looking out for his own, and that's what I do over here, so I respect it. That's why Dr. Claude Anderson has had meetings. He sat down and had meetings with Strom Thurmond, and they negotiated man to man. And Strom Thurmond didn't like him, but he respected him. Dr. Claude Anderson didn't show up saying, well, sir, I hope you like me. I hope we can be friends. I hope that you'll give me the love and affection that my mama never gave me. He didn't do all that. He said, look, you give me this, I'll give you that, and then we can make a deal. And they shook hands, and that's what happened. So let's stop looking for love, and let's start looking for respect. And in fact, you don't look for respect. You don't ask for respect. You command and you demand the respect. And then you'll notice things will start changing. You'll start getting what you want. Okay. All right. So long story short, I'm going to head on out, guys. It was great to see you. If you could you please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. The Love and Money Masterclass with my wife starts December 4th. You can sign up at boycewatkins.com. We're also doing 2 days after that, Cody Ransom's Black Wall Street training occurs after that. Cody is great to learn from because Cody doesn't just tell you the story of Black Wall Street. He actually explains how it was built and the characters and individuals that developed it and what was going on there. I mean, it's amazing. This brother is so amazing. I was so happy that he came to join us in the Black Business School. And I know you're going to love it. So if you'd like to participate, just go to boycewatkins.com, or if you're on Instagram, you can hit the link in the bio. And one more shout out. I'm gonna put this brother's URL on the screen. This brother, he's a rapper. His name is Fahim Abdur Razak, and he's a rapper. He's a conscious rapper that basically understands how hip hop was used to weaponize to harm our culture and harm our people and create a death culture. And you know this from the fact that a rapper pretty much dies every single week. This is not by accident. His album's called Platinum Shackles, and I hope you'll Google it and take a look at it. And these are the kinds of artists that we should support. Just at least give the brother a listen. It'll only take you a second, and I hope you'll support him. So God bless you guys. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day. I'll check back in with you later. Have a good one. Be good. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.